Close your eyes and try to imagine nothing. Do not imagine darkness, because darkness is still a kind of presence. There is space in which blackness can reside, and there is an observer to witness it. Do not imagine whiteness, because whiteness is still light washing over an invisible plane. When you attempt to picture nothing, your awareness inevitably intrudes. You are there, looking into the void, becoming part of it. This inability to conceive of a complete absence reveals one reason why the thought of death unsettles us so deeply. We equate death with vanishing into a void, but when we test our imagination, we find that the void is always filled with our perspective. We stand on the edge of the cliff and cannot lean far enough to see over it, because we are always taking ourselves along. The fear of death may not come from a dark nothingness waiting to swallow us, but from the paradox that consciousness cannot conceive of its own non-existence. We have learned to narrate our lives as straight lines drawn from birth to death, with time as a one-way arrow. The line is appealing because lines can be measured, predicted, and resolved. They have beginnings and endings. They lend structure to an existence that often feels chaotic. But what if this narrative is a comfort rather than a truth? Ancient cosmologies imagined time not as a line, but as a circle, a wheel turning, a serpent eating its own tail. For them, creation and destruction were not opposed, but part of a single loop. Modern physics, though couched in equations rather than myth, whispers a similar possibility. In certain circumstances, patterns repeat when matter is finite and time is unbounded. The idea that time might bend back on itself is both unsettling and profound. It suggests that our stories may not be linear epics, but recurring motifs in a symphony that plays forever. Think of the rhythms that have always governed your days. You breathe in and out. Each breath is a cycle of life and release, a drawing in of the world and a letting go. Your heart contracts and relaxes, sending waves of blood through your arteries, carrying oxygen to your cells, gathering waste on the way back. You sleep and wake, sink into oblivion and rise again. The moon waxes and wanes, its silver face swelling, shrinking, disappearing. Seasons turn, bringing heat and cold, growth and decay. A child grows into an adult, becomes old, returns to the earth, and another child takes their place. Rivers evaporate into clouds that rain back into rivers. Without thinking, you participate in these cycles. They shape your moods, your memories, your expectations. When something disrupts a cycle, when a loved one dies, when a season is unseasonably dry, when sleep evades you, you feel the disturbance like a snag in a spinning wheel. Cultures have always marked these patterns with ritual. Harvest festivals, full moon dances, rites of passage. Cycles give meaning because they knit individual moments into a larger fabric. They also give us comfort because what goes comes back. What is lost returns in another form. If time is a circle, then endings are not absolute. A sunset promises a sunrise. A withered field promises a harvest. A closed door promises an open one somewhere else. This cyclical view does not cancel the linear. Both perspectives can coexist. Linear time is how we experience cause and effect, how we remember yesterday and anticipate tomorrow. It is how we plan and regret and hope. Cyclical time is how we experience recurrence, how we find ourselves in familiar situations, how seasons return, how memories echo. On a cosmic scale, cycles become strange. They include patterns that last longer than any human life. The precession of the equinoxes, the orbits of stars around the galactic center, the expansion and cooling of the cosmos. These cycles play out over millennia and aeons, yet they still repeat. Modern mathematics has a theorem that speaks to such repetition. Under certain conditions, a bounded system with conserved energy will, over a sufficiently long span, return arbitrarily close to its initial state. This is not mysticism, but logic. There are only so many ways particles can arrange themselves. Given infinite time, those arrangements must recur. The recurrence might take longer than the age of the universe. It might require conditions we cannot test. But the mere possibility turns the mind. What if your life, with all its joys and sorrows, is one arrangement among countless ones that will recur? What if the straight line of your narrative is a segment of a circle too large to perceive? In this sense, fear of death may be fear of a pause rather than a full stop. The curtain falls, the theatre empties, the lights go out, and then, in some unimaginable future, the play begins again with the same actors, the same lines. Or perhaps the play repeats with subtle differences, the actors improvising new gestures, altering the music, exploring variations. The possibility of recurrence invites both dread and curiosity. Our inability to picture nothingness can be explored through simple images. Picture yourself lying in a meadow at midnight, staring up at the sky. The Milky Way is a pale river of stars, each one a furnace billions of years old, each separated by an abyss. The grass beneath you is damp with dew. The air smells of earth and stone. In the darkness there are sounds. A breeze through leaves, the rustle of a small creature in the undergrowth, your own heartbeat in your ears. Even in what we call night, there is texture, vibration, warmth. The void is never truly void. It is filled with molecules colliding, photons streaming, fields trembling. Your mind, restless and creative, fills the gaps with memories and questions. You realize that fear of nothingness is fear of being cut off from this sensory web. It is fear of losing the relationship between you and the world. But perhaps there is no sharp boundary. Perhaps consciousness dissolves like mist, merging back into a broader awareness. When you surrender to sleep, you trust that you will return. You might extend the same trust to death, viewing it not as a cliff, but as a shoreline where waves recede and return. There is a pattern hidden in plain sight. The universe tends to repeat itself across scales. Branches of trees fork like rivers, which fork like blood vessels, which fork like lightning. Coastlines appear jagged from afar and from close. The shapes echo at different magnifications. These structures are called fractals, self-similar shapes that repeat their motifs at ever smaller or larger scales. In a similar way, your life contains fractal patterns. The way you react to a challenge may echo the way you responded to a childhood problem. The dynamic between you and your parents may reappear between you and your own children. Cosmic cycles echo biological cycles. Electrons orbit nuclei, like planets orbit stars. Spiral arms of galaxies resemble the swirl of water down a drain. When you begin to see the fractal nature of reality, the idea of a loop becomes more than a myth. You notice that beginnings and endings are connected. Each pattern hints at others. The fear of death can thus be reframed as awe at the recurrence of forms. Dust becomes breath. Breath becomes word. Word becomes dust again. Nothing is ever wasted, nothing is ever truly gone. It is all rearranged. We also exist within loops of memory. Think of your earliest recollections. Perhaps you remember the smell of your grandmother's kitchen, the way sunlight fell on a carpet, the sound of a distant train. These sensory fragments return unbidden, triggered by aromas or melodies. They remind you that time is not a straight march. It loops back on itself whenever a memory arises. The past is not gone. It is folded into the present. In dreams, time can fold even more radically. You might relive an event from decades ago as if it were happening now. You might meet people long dead. You might experience childhood and adulthood simultaneously. In these dream loops, you glimpse a different relationship to time. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche imagined a cosmic eternal return, where every event recurs infinitely. Whether or not this is literally true, it is psychologically revealing. When you contemplate living your life again, you are invited to inspect the patterns you have created. You are invited to decide which loops you would gladly revisit and which you would transform. This act of reflection is itself cyclical. You look back, then forward, then back again, like a swing at the height of its arc. Another way to soften the fear of nothingness is to consider the space between your thoughts. When you meditate, you notice that thoughts arise and dissolve, leaving brief gaps. Those gaps are not frightening, they are restful. They are like the moment after a sigh and before the next breath. If you lengthen those spaces, you do not vanish, you become more aware. The background silence of the mind is not a void, it is a field of potential. In that field, images and insights arise. If you can welcome the silence within, perhaps you can welcome the silence beyond life. There is poetry in emptiness. A blank canvas invites art. A pause in music creates tension and resolution. Winter makes spring possible. When you imagine nothingness, imagine it as fertile soil, not as barren rock. Imagine that your story is one of many seedlings, each sprouting, blooming, seeding the ground for future stories. In this way, the loop becomes gentle. It is not a trap, it is a garden. Finally, imagine time as not a line nor a perfect circle, but a spiral. A spiral moves outward while looping around a center. Each revolution brings you back to a similar place, but a little further along. That is how personal growth often feels. You revisit familiar struggles, but with new understanding. You encounter similar joys, but with deeper appreciation. You fall in love again, with a new person, or with the same person, but in a new way. You lose loved ones and later comfort others in their grief. The spiral allows for both repetition and progress. It honors the cyclic nature of experience without denying change. When you think of your life, perhaps imagine it as a spiral staircase winding toward a horizon you cannot see. You climb, you return, you climb. When you lie awake at night worrying about oblivion, picture yourself walking that spiral, placing your feet on steps formed by your ancestors' choices, leaving steps for descendants. In that image, nothingness is not an abyss, but the unknown around the bend. It calls you forward with curiosity rather than dread. With these images in your mind, fields under stars, branching fractals, memories looping, pauses between breaths, spiral time, allow yourself to relax. Let your jaw unclench. Let your hands soften. Notice the weight of your body being held by the earth. Feel how gravity ties you to the planet, just as it ties the moon to its orbit. The fear of nothingness becomes a sense of being held within the cycles of existence. The discomfort of not knowing becomes wonder. This is the state from which we invite you to continue. You have already stepped into the infinite loop by listening. Stay with us as we drift deeper. There will be science and myth, rigor and softness. There will be dust and light. And through it all, there will be you, breathing, listening, continuing. Modern science does not speak in poetry. It describes atoms, energy, space, and time with equations and experiments. Yet, from these descriptions emerge images no less stirring than any myth. Imagine, for instance, the hydrogen atoms in your body. Each of those nuclei formed when the universe was a few minutes old, when space was still an opaque soup of particles, cooling from an unimaginable inferno. Those atoms, tiny and nearly eternal, have drifted through cosmic clouds, ignited in stars, been blown into space by stellar winds, condensed into comets and oceans, been taken up by plants and animals, and now reside in you. Think of the photons that warm your skin when you step into sunlight. They were born in the core of the sun after nuclear reactions, then rattled and scattered through the sun's layers for thousands of years, then traveled through space for 8 minutes before striking you. Think of the neutrinos streaming through your body right now, ghost-like particles produced by nuclear reactions in the sun and distant supernovae. They barely interact with matter. Trillions pass through you each second without a trace. Think of the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang, a faint whisper of heat from an epoch when atoms did not yet exist. Think of the expansion of space itself, stretching and cooling this cosmic whisper over billions of years. All of these physical facts are part of you, and you are part of them. You are not a solitary point, but a node in a vast web of cycles. Your very existence depends on processes that began long before you were born and will continue long after you die. When you learn this, fear of death takes on a different quality. You are already participating in an immortality of matter and energy. Your atoms will persist. Your energy will transform. Your consciousness arises from these arrangements and then dissolves back into them. There is sadness in knowing you will not remember yourself, but there is also peace in knowing that nothing is truly lost. Before we journey further, pause and notice your breath. Let the air fill your lungs. Feel your ribs expand. Feel the moment between inhale and exhale. That pause contains eternity. When you exhale, imagine releasing not just carbon dioxide, but also tension. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw loosen. Unfurrow your brow. In this relaxed state, consider joining us on a longer journey. Welcome to the journey into the infinite loop. Our exploration is not meant to rush, but to drift like a leaf on a slow river. If your mind is busy, allow it to settle. If your heart is heavy, allow it to lighten. We invite you to subscribe to this channel so you can join us again in other explorations of science and philosophy. For now, let us travel together through ideas that are both rigorous and poetic. Let us wander through the quiet universe. Let us close our eyes, not to escape, but to see more clearly the images within. Let us meet in the silence between words. Let us become, for a moment, part of the slow turning of the cosmic wheel. As we continue, remember that there is no hurry. The universe has existed for billions of years and will continue for billions more. A night is a drop in an ocean of time. You can let go of urgency. You can let go of the need to solve every mystery. In this narrative, you are not required to understand everything. You are invited to feel. You are invited to imagine. You are invited to inhabit the space between science and story. If at any point you find your mind wandering, know that this is also part of the cycle. Thoughts arise and pass away. They are like clouds drifting across a wide sky. They do not disturb the sky itself. In the following chapters, we will speak of atoms and energy, of probability and entropy, of quantum worlds and silent forests. We will weave facts with philosophy. We will offer questions without definitive answers. We will, throughout, return to the idea that time is not only an arrow, but also a circle, that endings are also beginnings, that silence is not empty, but full of potential. Relax, breathe, and let the words wash over you like a slow tide. In this first part, we have hovered at the edge of nothingness and allowed ourselves to feel the paradox of it. We have opened the door to cycles and glimpsed how ancient myths and modern physics both suggest that repetition is woven into the fabric of reality. We have begun to see ourselves not as isolated lines, but as loops within loops. Carry this awareness forward. Imagine each sentence you hear as an echo returning from a distant wall. Imagine each heartbeat as a drum in an ancient ceremony. Imagine each blink as a shutter closing and opening on a timeless film. The fear of death is real, but it need not be paralyzing. It can be a gateway to deeper reflection. It can turn your attention to what is alive now. It can inspire you to lean into each moment with curiosity. And as you settle into this story, let your fear soften into wonder. Let the question of what comes after become the question of what is here right now. Breathe in, breathe out. The journey has only just begun. Imagine now the hidden drama unfolding inside every atom in your body. Each proton and neutron is made of quarks bound together by the strong force, and those quarks exchange gluons in a ceaseless dance. Around the nucleus, electrons do not orbit like planets. They exist as clouds of probability, regions where the chance of finding one is high. Between the nucleus and these clouds is a vast emptiness. If an atom were the size of a cathedral, the nucleus would be a grain of rice at the center, and the electrons would be like dust motes swirling far away. You are, by volume, almost entirely void. Yet this void is not truly empty. Quantum fields permeate space, and even in the absence of particles they fluctuate. Pairs of particles and antiparticles briefly wink into existence and annihilate. We call this the quantum vacuum, but it is a seething, restless vacuum. The solidity you feel when you press your hands together is not due to particles touching. It is due to electromagnetic forces repelling clouds of electrons. When you tap your table, you are encountering forces between fields, not solid objects colliding. Knowing this can transform how you feel about yourself. You are not a static block of matter, but a shimmering pattern of interactions in a mostly empty space. You are a wave that has temporarily assumed the form of a human being. To understand where these atoms come from, we turn to the early universe. Shortly after the Big Bang, the universe was unimaginably hot and dense. It was a soup of particles and radiation in which quarks and gluons roamed freely. As space expanded and cooled, quarks combined to form protons and neutrons, These combined in turn to make simple nuclei of hydrogen and helium. This process, called nucleosynthesis, occurred within minutes of the universe's birth. For hundreds of millions of years after, there were no heavier elements, only these light atoms swirling in vast clouds. Under the pull of gravity, those clouds collapsed and ignited the first stars. In the fiery hearts of those stars, hydrogen nuclei fused to become helium. Helium fused to become carbon and oxygen and nitrogen and silicon, and so on up to iron. Beyond iron, fusion does not release energy, it demands it. For heavier elements to form, more violent events were required. When massive stars exhausted their fuel, they collapsed and exploded as supernovae. In those explosions, in the rushing shock waves and extreme pressures, elements heavier than iron were forged. Even heavier nuclei, gold, platinum, uranium, were created during collisions of neutron stars, where matter is compressed to densities unimaginable on Earth. Over billions of years, the debris from these cataclysms drifted through space, eventually coalescing into new stars, planets, comets, and the rocks beneath your feet. The carbon in your DNA, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, and the gold in a ring on your finger were all forged in the cores of ancient stars, or in their explosive deaths. When we say we are made of star stuff, we are not speaking metaphorically. It is a literal description of your composition. Atoms and energy obey a law of conservation. In a closed system, energy is neither created nor destroyed. It is transformed from one form into another. The energy you use to lift your arm comes from chemical bonds in molecules derived from food, which in turn acquired their energy from sunlight captured by plants, which arises from nuclear reactions in the sun. Similarly, the atoms that comprise you are conserved. They are borrowed, used, and released. When you breathe, you inhale oxygen molecules formed by two oxygen atoms. In your lungs, these molecules bind to hemoglobin in your blood and travel to your cells, where they help release energy stored in glucose. You exhale carbon dioxide made of one carbon atom and two oxygen atoms. Those carbon dioxide molecules might be taken up by a leaf in the morning, split apart by photosynthesis, and reassembled into sugar. That sugar might become part of a fruit eaten by a bird, and the carbon might eventually become part of the beak of another creature. The atoms cycle through different forms: rocks to soil, soil to plants, plants to animals, animals back to soil. This movement is not random. It follows the flow of energy, and it is governed by chemical and physical laws. Your existence is a temporary pause in the journey of these atoms. You are a way station for matter and energy. After you are gone, the atoms will continue their travels. They will not mourn or remember. They will simply transform. Realizing this can be liberating. It can loosen the grip of fear by showing you that nothing is truly lost, that everything is in motion, that death is a change of form rather than annihilation. It is humbling to think that most of the atoms in your body are older than the Earth itself. Hydrogen nuclei formed moments after the universe began. The oxygen you breathe and the carbon that forms your flesh were made in stars that lived and died before our sun was born. The sun itself is about 4.5 billion years old, formed from a cloud enriched by previous generations of stars. The Earth coalesced from the same cloud. life arose on this blue planet as molecules began to replicate and evolve. Many billions of years later, you emerged. For a brief time, you are a constellation of ancient particles held in a pattern by energy flows. When you die, those particles will disperse. Some will return to the atmosphere, some will sink into the soil, some will dissolve in rivers and oceans. They may be taken up by plants, consumed by animals, or folded into the shells of microorganisms. They may drift into the sea, evaporate, fall as rain, freeze as ice, be locked in rock, be melted in magma. They will find their way into endless cycles of change. Because the universe is old and vast, the atoms that are you have been other things before and will be other things again. You are both unique in your arrangement and utterly unoriginal in your components. This duality is a source of comfort. It shows you that individual identity is delicate and transient, while the matter that enables identity is enduring and universal. Inside your body, billions of reactions take place every second. Cells divide, enzymes catalyze chemical processes, neurotransmitters release signals across synapses, muscles contract, hormones circulate. At a microscopic level, you are not a fixed entity, but a flow. Every few years, almost every atom in your body will have been replaced. You are like a river. The water molecules that pass a given point are never the same, but we still name the river and recognize its shape. Similarly, you maintain a sense of self, but your material substrate is always changing. The atoms arrive, participate in your life, and depart. Even during a single breath, you exchange molecules with the world. You take in oxygen, return carbon dioxide. You absorb scents, release pheromones. Your skin sheds cells that drift like dust and settle on surfaces. Your hair contains atoms that once were part of ancient life. When it falls, it becomes part of the soil. When you cry, your tears fall and evaporate and might be inhaled by someone else. When you sweat, you release water that might later help form a cloud. This constant exchange blurs the boundary between you and your environment. The notion of an isolated self begins to dissolve. You are not a fortress, but a process, porous and interconnected. Recognizing this can soften the ego. It can foster empathy because the separation between you and the rest of the world is less absolute than it appears. Even the space between the atoms in your body is not as empty as it seems. Quantum fields pervade all of space, and they are never truly at rest. In the so-called vacuum, particles pop into and out of existence. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle implies that energy and time have a relationship. Over very short intervals, energy can fluctuate. These fluctuations give rise to phenomena such as the Casimir effect, where two metal plates in a vacuum are pulled together by forces arising from the vacuum energy. They give rise to Hawking radiation, where black holes slowly evaporate as pairs of particles near the event horizon become real, with one falling in and the other escaping. They give rise to spontaneous emission, where excited atoms drop to a lower energy state by emitting photons into an ostensibly empty space. The vacuum is not nothing. It is a latent field of possibility. Every atom in your body interacts with this ocean of potential. Without these fluctuations, atoms could not exist, because the forces that bind quarks and leptons arise from fields defined even in emptiness. The void and the full are not opposites. They are partners in the dance of being. Thinking about this can inspire awe. It can also bring tranquility. If emptiness itself is alive with activity, then fear of nothingness may be misplaced. Perhaps what we call nothing is simply a different kind of something, a fertile ground from which forms emerge and into which they dissolve. As we contemplate atoms and voids, it is easy to drift into abstraction. But this knowledge can have a direct effect on how you feel. When you are anxious, you might experience your body as rigid as a solid block of tension. Remembering that you are mostly empty space and energy flows can help you soften. Imagine the spaces inside you widening. Imagine the atoms in your arms and chest vibrating gently. Imagine the emptiness between your molecules filled with a calm luminosity. Let that image relax you. Let it dissolve the sensation of being separate and isolated. Reflect on how old and resilient your atoms are. They have survived the births and deaths of stars. They have traveled through interstellar clouds. They have been part of oceans and mountains and trees and animals. They will continue their journey long after your thoughts have ceased. You are part of a story that spans the age of the cosmos. In the face of that vastness, many of your worries shrink. They do not disappear. Pain is real, loss is real, but they find a place within a wider context. They become threads in a tapestry woven from dust and light. Embrace that perspective as we move forward. We will soon turn to the strange world of probability and repetition. Carry with you the understanding that you are both trivial and miraculous, a fleeting arrangement of ancient particles, alive for a moment under the stars. Now let us wander into the realm of chance and inevitability, where mathematics and philosophy meet. Imagine a room filled with air. The molecules that make up the air move at random, bouncing off one another and the walls. If you could take a snapshot of their positions and velocities, you would capture a particular configuration. The Poincaré recurrence theorem tells us that if this system is isolated, if no energy or matter enters or leaves, and if we wait long enough, longer than all recorded history and longer than the time it took stars to form and galaxies to collide, this collection of molecules will at some point return arbitrarily close to its original configuration. It will come back to a state indistinguishable from the starting point. For a gas in a box, the recurrence time is unimaginably vast. For a universe, if it meets the conditions of the theorem, the recurrence time is beyond comprehension. Yet the theorem shows that under certain mathematical conditions, recurrence is inevitable. There are only so many ways to arrange a finite number of particles within a finite volume. Given infinite time, those arrangements must repeat. Your life is one such arrangement. In a universe that repeats, every breath you take will be taken again, every thought you think will be thought again, every joy and sorrow will return. The concept is both dizzying and sobering. It is not clear whether our universe meets the strict conditions of the theorem. Space may be expanding, energy may not be perfectly conserved in the way the theorem requires. But as a thought experiment, recurrence invites us to consider how finite matter and infinite time interact. To grasp the staggering number of possible arrangements even a small system can have, consider a deck of playing cards. A standard deck contains 52 distinct cards. When you shuffle that deck, you arrange those cards in one of 52 factorial possible orders. 52 factorial is the product of all positive integers from 1 to 52. The resulting number has 68 digits. If you shuffled a deck once per second from the dawn of the universe until now, you would not have come close to repeating an arrangement. Every time you hold a freshly shuffled deck, it is almost certain that the order of the cards has never existed before in the history of the cosmos. Yet, if you had infinite time, you would eventually go through every arrangement. You would see sequences of cards that seem ordered, like all 4 aces in a row. You would see arrangements that spell words, accidental poems in clubs and hearts. You would see the exact order you started with. In other words, given unlimited time, the impossible becomes inevitable. This simple example illustrates the power of factorial growth and the strangeness of infinity. It shows why recurrence times are so enormous, and why, when mathematicians say that something will eventually recur, they do not mean soon. Probability is often misunderstood. We speak of luck as if it were a force, as if the universe favors or disfavors us. In truth, probability is a measure of how many ways something can happen relative to the total number of possible outcomes. An event with a low probability is simply one that can occur in very few ways. But low probability does not mean impossible. If you flip a fair coin, the chance of getting 10 heads in a row is very small. But if you flip coins for long enough, strings of 10 heads will happen. Similarly, if there is a 1 in a billion chance of a particular arrangement of atoms, but you have infinite opportunities, that arrangement will occur not just once, but an infinite number of times. This insight unsettles common intuitions. We often regard coincidences as meaningful because they are improbable. You think of a friend and they call you. You dream of an old song and hear it the next day. These events feel significant because they seem too unlikely to be random. But given the vast number of thoughts we have and events we encounter, coincidences are guaranteed to occur occasionally. In an infinite universe or an infinite timeline, they occur infinitely often. Recognizing this does not rob life of meaning. It places coincidences within a broader context. You can still enjoy them as delightful alignments without assigning them supernatural significance. To appreciate how probability plays out on scales beyond our everyday experience, consider another thought experiment. Imagine 1,000 monkeys seated at 1,000 typewriters. Each monkey presses keys at random. The likelihood that any one monkey will accidentally type a coherent sentence is exceedingly small. The likelihood that all 1,000 will collectively produce the complete works of a playwright seems absurd. Yet, if you extend the time available to these monkeys indefinitely, and if they never tire, they will almost surely produce every possible sequence of letters, including all of the plays and poems ever written. This is not a proposal to employ primates as writers. It is a demonstration of how randomness, given unlimited opportunities, will generate structured outcomes. Similarly, the random motion of atoms in a gas could, in principle, arrange themselves into any configuration, including the unlikely arrangement that makes up your body. The probability of such a spontaneous assembly is astronomically low. It would take longer than the age of the universe, but mathematically it is not zero. Over an infinite timeline, events with non-zero probability happen not just once, but infinitely many times. This does not mean that anything will happen soon or that probability replaces intention. It means that our sense of what is possible is limited by the finite spans of our lives. When you marvel at coincidences or despair at their absence, remember the monkeys. Remember that probability does not have morals or goals. It is a description of possibility. Within its framework, your existence is both improbable and inevitable. You do not owe your being to luck alone, but you are part of the grand sweep of randomness, exploring all configurations. This view can make the mundane miraculous and the miraculous mundane. Probability can also mislead us when our intuitions clash with mathematics. The gambler's fallacy is a simple example. If you flip a fair coin and see heads 5 times in a row, you might feel that tails is due. In reality, the probability of heads or tails on the next flip remains equal. Each flip is independent. The coin has no memory. Yet our pattern-loving brains see streaks and infer balance. In lotteries, people avoid picking certain numbers because they were drawn recently, as if randomness kept a ledger. In life, we may think that after a run of bad luck, we are owed some good fortune. But the universe does not balance our accounts. Chance has no justice system. Recognizing this can prevent you from making poor decisions based on perceived patterns. It can also free you from self-blame. When rare events occur, illness, accidents, windfalls, you might search for meaning or for someone to credit or blame. Sometimes the most honest answer is that probability allowed it. Embracing this does not mean you are powerless. You can stack the deck in your favor by understanding odds, by making choices that influence outcomes, by reducing risk, by increasing opportunities. Probability does not dictate your fate. It provides the backdrop against which your actions unfold. You are a participant in a world that is partly structured, partly random. Learning to dance with both order and chance is part of the art of living. Probability can also surprise us with counterintuitive truths. The law of large numbers tells us that if you repeat an experiment many times, the average of the outcomes will approach the expected value. This means that randomness smooths out over long spans, not over short ones. A coin might land heads 10 times in a row, but over thousands of flips, the proportion of heads will hover around half. This principle underlies insurance, polling, and science. Yet, it also means that small samples can be misleading. Another famous example is the birthday paradox. In a group of just 23 people, there is more than a 50% chance that 2 share a birthday. In a group of 70, the probability rises above 99%. This surprises many because we tend to think of birthdays as rare collisions. But probability deals with pairs, and the number of possible pairs grows quickly as the group grows. Such paradoxes reveal how our intuition struggles with combinations and large numbers. They remind us to check our gut feelings against mathematics. They invite us to find joy in being wrong, in discovering that the world is stranger than we assumed. They also hint that improbable connections are more common than we might think. When you meet someone who shares your birthday or your obscure hobby, you can smile and think of the birthday paradox. You can let it inspire you to be open to serendipity. Our brains are pattern-seeking machines. We evolved to notice regularities in our environment because recognizing patterns helped our ancestors survive. We find faces in clouds, constellations in stars, voices in static. We see shapes and stories in randomness. This tendency serves us well when predicting the behavior of animals or the changing of seasons, but it can mislead us when dealing with large numbers and long times. We imagine that rare events should not happen to us, that the improbable is impossible. When it does happen, we attribute it to fate, destiny, or cosmic messages. Mathematics, however, shows that improbable events must occur occasionally. In an infinite time, they must occur infinitely often. This can be either comforting or disconcerting. Comfort arises when you realize that your existence, improbable as it may be, is part of the natural unfolding of possibilities. Discomfort arises when you realize that the uniqueness you cherish is, in a sense, statistically guaranteed. Both feelings are valid. They invite you to balance awe at the sheer improbability of your life with humility about your place in a vast ensemble of possibilities. Now, turn this thought inward. Imagine that after the longest of waits, the universe cycles back to your exact life. You are sitting in the same room, hearing these same words, feeling the same sensations, perhaps with a faint sense of déjà vu. Would you greet the return with joy or dread? Would you feel blessed to relive your laughter, your friendships, your achievements? Or would you feel cursed to relive your regrets, your losses, your pain? If you had to live this exact life again, down to every tear and every smile, would you call it a blessing or a curse? Tell me in the comments. Your answer is not about changing the universe. It is about understanding your relationship with your own story. The thought experiment invites you to examine what you would keep and what you would change. It asks you to consider whether you are living in a way you would be willing to repeat. It suggests that by acting as if your choices echo eternally, you might choose more carefully, with more love. The question is not meant to provoke anxiety, but to inspire reflection. You can share your thoughts or keep them to yourself. Either way, the act of considering the question can reveal hidden desires and fears. Another way to visualize recurrence is to think of your mind as a deck of memories. Each memory is a card, and each time you recall your experiences, you shuffle them into a different order. Sometimes a painful memory surfaces next to a joyful one. Sometimes a memory you thought forgotten returns with startling vividness. Over years, you revisit certain memories again and again. They become worn at the edges, like cards handled too often. Other memories remain crisp and new because they are seldom touched. Your mind is a shuffling mechanism, rearranging your experiences in countless ways. Each arrangement influences your mood, your decisions, your sense of self. In this sense, you live many lives within one. The brain is a finite system capable of an astonishing number of configurations. Over time, certain patterns of thought will recur. You may find yourself having the same conversation in your head or reacting to similar situations in similar ways. Recognizing these recurrences gives you a chance to intervene. If you are trapped in a loop of negative thoughts, you can choose to shuffle the deck differently. You can bring different memories to the surface. You can, in a small way, influence the pattern of recurrence within your own mind. As this exploration of probability and recurrence draws its own circle, let it leave you with a sense of perspective. You are both special and typical. Your life is a unique arrangement of matter and events, unlikely to happen by chance, yet guaranteed to recur in an infinite timeline. The coincidences you encounter are wonderful, but they do not mean that the universe is writing messages just for you. They are reminders that probability has room for miracles. The thought of recurrence can inspire you to live each day as if it matters deeply, because it does, whether it happens once or countless times. And the knowledge that improbable events eventually happen can open you to possibility. Dreams that seem unlikely are not impossible. They are simply low probability events awaiting a chance. Carry this with you as we move on. We will next consider a different principle that shapes the flow of time: entropy. Like probability, entropy sets limits and possibilities. Like recurrence, it raises questions about cycles and endings. For now, let the idea of infinite shuffles settle in your mind like dust falling through a beam of light. Let it remind you that life is both an accident and an inevitability, and that within that paradox you are free to find meaning. Entropy is a measure of how many ways a system can be arranged without changing its macroscopic properties. We often think of entropy as disorder, but a more precise description is multiplicity. The more ways the microscopic constituents of a system can be rearranged without affecting the overall appearance, the higher its entropy. The second law of thermodynamics tells us that in a closed system, entropy tends to increase, energy spreads out, temperature differences even out. Ordered structures decay into disordered states. This law gives time its perceived direction. You can scramble an egg easily because there are many more ways for its molecules to be arranged in a scrambled state than in a pristine state. But you cannot reassemble a broken egg into a whole one without expending energy and increasing entropy elsewhere. You cannot unburn wood spontaneously. You cannot unmix cream from coffee without complex intervention. These everyday observations are manifestations of the second law. Entropy points from past to future. It is the reason time seems to flow forward rather than backward. At the beginning of the universe, entropy was astonishingly low. Cosmologists describe the early universe as smooth and dense, a state with fewer possible microconfigurations than today. As the universe expanded, matter clumped, stars formed and burned, black holes swallowed light, and molecules assembled and fell apart. Over billions of years, entropy increased. Stars radiated energy into space, giving rise to complex structures like planets and life. But this complexity did not violate the second law. It was made possible by the flow of energy from hot stars to cold space. Eventually, if current models hold, all stars will exhaust their fuel. White dwarfs will cool to black dwarfs. Neutron stars and black holes will evaporate. Matter may decay into lighter particles. The universe will become a thin, dilute soup of low-energy photons and particles. There will be no free energy to do work, no temperature differences to drive processes. This is the so-called heat death. It is not an explosion or a fire. It is a long, slow fading. The cosmic dance ends not with a bang, but with a whisper. Everything becomes the same. In such a state, time still exists, but nothing happens. The story of the universe, as we know it, concludes in silence. Yet, even this bleak projection is not the final word. Some physicists point out that the universe is expanding, possibly forever. If space continues to grow, the number of possible arrangements of matter also grows. New regions of space become available, new configurations become possible. In such a scenario, entropy might always have somewhere to increase into, preventing the universe from reaching a maximum entropy state. Recurrence, while mathematically possible, might never occur because the total phase space is always enlarging. Imagine the deck of cards from our earlier thought experiment, acquiring a new card every morning. You could shuffle forever and never repeat the same order. Quantum fluctuations might also create pockets of low entropy within high entropy. In the emptiness of a heat-dead universe, random fluctuations could lead to the spontaneous appearance of ordered structures. This possibility gives rise to the concept of a Boltzmann brain, a self-aware entity that pops into existence due to random fluctuations. Such possibilities are extremely unlikely at any given moment, but over infinite time, they become inevitable. Whether these fluctuations would matter in a heat-dead cosmos is another question. The interplay between expansion, fluctuation, and entropy remains an active area of research. What matters for our story is that entropy trends upward but does not necessarily doom us to an eternal monotony. Closer to home, entropy manifests in our daily lives. Your desk tends to become cluttered unless you tidy it. Your relationships drift apart unless you invest time and care. Your body ages as entropy increases at the cellular level. Proteins misfold. DNA accumulates damage. Cells senesce. You cannot make yourself younger, but you can slow the increase of disorder through exercise, nutrition, rest, and medical care. Life is a temporary reversal of entropy, a local pocket of low entropy sustained by input of energy. You eat food and breathe oxygen to build and maintain structure. You release waste and heat, increasing entropy outside you to keep your internal entropy low. Plants do the same, capturing sunlight and releasing oxygen. Ecosystems are networks of energy flows and entropy management. When you die, the orderly structures in your body break down. Entropy increases, and your components return to the wider environment. Recognizing this can bring gratitude for the energy that sustains you and compassion for the other beings that also fight against disorder for a while. The arrow of time is intimately tied to entropy. We remember the past, but not the future, because the universe started in a low entropy state. Our memories are records of events, patterns stored in neural connections. Recording an event increases entropy overall, but the low entropy background allows us to distinguish one moment from another. If the universe were at maximum entropy from the beginning, there would be no difference between past and future, no arrow of time. The fact that we can tell time has passed is because entropy increased. This link between memory and entropy appears in small ways. You cannot unburn a photograph to restore the image that once existed. You cannot uncry tears to undo pain. You cannot unlearn knowledge to return to ignorance. Childhood seems endless because each day is filled with new experiences and low entropy. Old age seems brief because novelty decreases. Nostalgia may be a longing for low entropy moments, for times when possibilities were abundant and order had not yet dissolved. Entropy thus shapes not only physics but also psychology. The relationship between entropy and information is subtle and beautiful. In the 19th century, the physicist James Clerk Maxwell imagined a tiny demon able to see and sort molecules. This creature, perched between two chambers of gas, could open and close a door to let fast molecules pass one way and slow molecules pass the other, seemingly decreasing entropy without expending energy. The thought experiment challenged the second law. Later analysis showed that the demon must expend energy to gather and erase information about the molecules. The act of measuring and forgetting carries an entropic cost. There is no free lunch. Order cannot be conjured from chaos without paying. In the mid-20th century, scientists like Claude Shannon developed information theory, showing that information and entropy are deeply related. Information reduces uncertainty. Entropy measures uncertainty. When you learn something, you reduce entropy locally, but the process of learning, of sensing, processing, and storing, produces waste heat and increases entropy overall. Your mind is like a Maxwell's demon, taking in sensory data, sorting and categorizing it, creating patterns and narratives. To do so, it burns calories, generates heat, wears out cells. Every act of understanding has a physical counterpart. Recognizing this connection can make the pursuit of knowledge even more precious. Learning is not abstract. It is an embodied act that literally reshapes your brain and costs energy. When you organize your thoughts, you are creating islands of order at the cost of entropy elsewhere. This is not a flaw, but a fundamental feature of the universe. It means that meaning is not free, but it is worth the expenditure. In your own day, entropy is the reason why your cup of tea grows cold if left unattended. The heat disperses into the surrounding air. You could warm it again, but you would need to input energy, perhaps by burning gas or using electricity, thereby increasing entropy elsewhere. It is why living spaces need cleaning, why engines wear down, why memories fade. Yet, within the general increase of disorder, you can create local islands of order. You can tidy your room, heal a relationship, practice a craft, learn something new. These acts require effort. They do not violate the second law because they always produce waste heat and disorder somewhere else. But they show that within an entropic universe, agency matters. You can influence the distribution of order in your immediate surroundings. You can choose to bring beauty out of chaos, to cultivate a garden in a world tending toward overgrowth and decay. Knowing that disorder will always creep in can make these acts more precious. They are victories against the tide, even if the tide ultimately wins. The recurrence theorem and entropy might seem at odds. One implies that systems return to states they've been in before. The other implies that systems move toward disorder. The resolution lies in the enormous scale of recurrence times and the fact that recurrence does not require exact repetition, but closeness. In practice, the heat death of the universe will occur long before any macroscopic system experiences a recurrence. And if space continues to expand and create new possible states, recurrence may be postponed indefinitely. Entropy ensures that cycles degrade unless energy is input. You can continue spinning a top only by pushing it periodically. Similarly, cycles of life depend on continual energy flows. Without them, cycles dampen. But the concept of recurrence reminds us that in infinite time, nothing is ever truly final. Even if the universe drifts toward uniformity, fluctuations may create new differences. Even if exact recurrence is improbable, approximate recurrence is ubiquitous. Patterns reappear in nature, in history, in personal lives. Leaves fall each autumn. Civilizations rise and fall. Hearts break and heal. Stories repeat with variations. Entropy and recurrence together paint a picture of a universe that tends toward dispersion but also contains rhythms and returns. As we close this section, notice how the concepts of disorder and inevitability intertwine. Entropy teaches that nothing lasts forever, that structures crumble. Recurrence teaches that given enough time, structures or patterns may appear again. These ideas can coexist. They can soften the fear of endings and the discomfort with repetition. You might find yourself cleaning the same room every week, having the same conversation with a friend, feeling the same sadness each winter. Instead of seeing these repeats as failures to progress, you can view them as part of a larger cycle of order and disorder. Each attempt to tidy, to communicate, to heal is meaningful because it is not permanent. Its impermanence is what makes it precious. As you drift towards sleep, think of entropy not as a grim reaper, but as a reminder to cherish order while it exists. Think of recurrence not as a trap, but as a chance for renewal. In the next chapter, we will descend into the quantum realm where reality itself seems to split. Until then, let the idea of heat-death settle in you like an evening fog, soft, inevitable, and strangely peaceful. To appreciate the grandeur of entropy, consider the strangest furnaces in the cosmos, black holes. These objects are the collapsed cores of massive stars, regions so dense that not even light can escape their grip. In the 19th century, thinkers such as Jacob Bekenstein and later Stephen Hawking showed that black holes have entropy. The amount of disorder inside a black hole is proportional to the area of its event horizon, the boundary beyond which nothing returns. A black hole, in some sense, is the most entropic object for its size. It hides information so completely that its interior can be described only statistically. When matter falls into a black hole, the entropy of the universe increases. The radiation that leaks from a black hole's horizon, now known as Hawking radiation, is thermal, carrying no memory of what fell in. Black holes teach us that entropy is tied not only to disorder, but to missing information. They also teach us humility. Even the most extreme structures obey thermodynamic laws. The second law does not bend, not even for monsters that bend space itself. On the largest scales, the universe itself has horizons. Because space is expanding, there are galaxies so far away that their light will never reach us. They are receding faster than light due to the expansion of space. Beyond a certain distance, information is lost to us forever. This cosmic event horizon implies that the observable universe is like a bubble with a finite inventory of matter and energy. As the cosmos continues to expand and cool, energy will spread ever more thinly. Stars will burn through their fuel. New stars will form less often. Eventually, only embers will remain. Black holes will evaporate over unimaginable durations, leaving behind a thin fog of particles. Temperature differences will diminish until everything is nearly uniform. This is what we call heat death. It is not a dramatic explosion, but a gentle fading, a twilight that lasts trillions of years. When you think of this far future, you might feel melancholy, but you might also feel relief. The violence of starbirth and death will cease. The cosmos will rest. Entropy's endgame is not a sinister void, but an evening of infinite length. Within this overarching trend toward disorder, life emerges as a local rebellion. Living systems take in energy and matter, use them to build structures and expel waste. They maintain low entropy within themselves at the cost of increasing entropy around them. A seed becomes a tree by harnessing sunlight, water, and soil. A human becomes adult by ingesting food and air, organizing molecules into muscles, bones, and thoughts. The beauty you see in forests, coral reefs, and cities is not a violation of thermodynamics, but a testament to it. Energy flows through these systems, enabling them to create order temporarily. When the flows cease, the structures decay. Knowing this can make you see life as a flame. A flame is a process, not a thing. It persists only while fuel and oxygen are available. It consumes, radiates, and transforms. You are a flame fed by the sun. Your order is temporary and miraculous. When you die, your organized state dissipates, but the atoms and energy that composed you continue in other flames. Entropy does not destroy, it disassembles. Entropy is also a teacher of tenderness. Think of building a sandcastle at the beach. You shape towers and walls, carve moats with your hands, adorn the structure with shells. You know the tide will come. Waves will erode your careful work. Footprints will flatten the turrets. The impermanence of the castle does not make the building pointless. It makes it poignant. You build because it is joyful to create. You know from the start that you are collaborating with the sea. In the same way, every act of order in your life, every letter you write, every meal you cook, every friendship you cultivate is a sandcastle. It will be worn down by time and circumstance. That does not diminish its value, it heightens it. When you clean your home, you know dust will return. When you heal a relationship, you know conflict may arise again. Entropy does not scold you for trying. It blesses your efforts with meaning by making them temporary. Entropy also invites you to notice the patterns that arise from chaos. The branching of a river delta, the swirling of cream in coffee, the distribution of stars in a spiral galaxy. All are products of dissipative processes. These patterns often display fractal qualities, with similar structures appearing at different scales. They arise when energy flows through a system and dissipates. Chaos and order are not enemies, they are partners. From turbulent air emerges the shape of a tornado. From turbulent fluids emerges the rings of Saturn. From turbulent minds emerge stories and symphonies. When you feel the messiness of your life, remember that patterns emerge from turbulence. The loops of time, the cycles of growth and decay, the rise and fall of feelings are part of a dynamic that generates beauty. You can learn to ride these currents. You can trust that even in disorder, new forms will arise. In this way, entropy becomes not an enemy of meaning, but a source of it. As you lay your head down, let entropy's whisper be a lullaby. Imagine the universe as a vast breath exhaled and inhaled over and over. Imagine galaxies as dust motes in a sunbeam, swirling in slow motion. Imagine your own body as a vessel through which energy passes, swirling like a tide. When you feel undone by disorder, place your hand on your chest and feel the steady drum of your heart. That rhythm is order carved out of chaos. It will not last forever, and that is why it is precious. Cherish the beat, the warmth, the presence. The rise of entropy is not a march toward meaninglessness. It is the canvas on which meaning becomes visible. In the next chapter, when we descend into the quantum depths, carry with you the humility learned from entropy and the hope drawn from recurrence. Let these ideas swirl together like smoke and light, forming patterns that soothe and inspire. At the heart of matter lies a realm where our everyday intuitions break down. Quantum mechanics, the theory that describes the behavior of particles at microscopic scales, reveals a world that is neither strictly particle nor strictly wave, neither deterministic nor entirely random. In this realm, electrons can behave like waves, spreading out over space, and like particles, arriving at a single point. Photons can interfere with themselves, creating patterns of light and dark even when fired one at a time. Particles can exist in a superposition of states, meaning they do not have a single definite property until measured. An electron can be in two places at once. A photon can be both here and there. The act of measurement seems to collapse this ambiguity into a definite outcome. Before measurement, we can only assign probabilities to outcomes. After measurement, we observe one result. This strangeness is not due to faulty instruments. It is intrinsic to the microscopic world. It led Einstein to exclaim that God does not play dice, and Niels Bohr to reply that Einstein should stop telling God what to do. Quantum theory is among the most successful theories ever devised, producing predictions confirmed to extraordinary precision. Yet, its interpretation remains puzzling. How can something be two things at once and then become one when observed? What does it mean for a particle to have no position until measured? Does the act of observation create reality or reveal it? Different interpretations attempt to answer these questions. The Copenhagen interpretation, developed by Bohr and others, holds that the wave function, the mathematical description of a quantum system, represents probabilities. When we measure, the wave function collapses to a single outcome. The act of observation plays a special role. By contrast, the many worlds interpretation rejects collapse. Proposed by Hugh Everett, it posits that all possible outcomes of a quantum event actually occur, each in its own branch of reality. When an atom decays or does not decay, the universe splits. In one branch, the atom decays. In another, it does not. These branches do not interact. Every quantum event creates a branching. There are myriads of worlds existing in parallel. In some of them, you are listening to this story. In others, you paused it. In others, you never found it. Each branch is equally real, but your consciousness experiences only one branch at a time. In this view, the wave function never collapses. Instead, the universe constantly divides. This interpretation removes the special role of measurement, but introduces a dizzying multiplicity of realities. Whether the many worlds interpretation is true is unknown. It is one among several competing pictures, including pilot wave theory, objective collapse theories, and others. What matters for us is not which interpretation is correct, but how thinking in terms of many worlds can change our relationship to possibility. Consider the famous thought experiment known as Schrödinger's cat. Imagine a cat in a box with a device that will release poison if a quantum event occurs. Say, if an atom decays. Until you open the box, the atom is in a superposition of decayed and not decayed. According to Copenhagen, the cat is both alive and dead, a paradox meant to illustrate the absurdity of applying quantum theory to macroscopic objects. According to many worlds, there are two branches of the universe, one where the cat is alive and one where it is dead. When you open the box, you find yourself in one branch. The cat does not experience both states. Each branch contains a definite outcome. This thought experiment has generated countless discussions, not because anyone intends to harm a cat, but because it demonstrates the strangeness of superposition and measurement. It invites us to consider how reality can contain multiple possibilities simultaneously, and how observation selects one. It also raises questions about consciousness. Does the cat's awareness count as measurement? Does the universe split when the atom decays, or when a conscious observer looks? These questions remain open, reflecting the deep mysteries of quantum mechanics. Some have taken the idea of many worlds to an extreme with the notion of quantum immortality. Imagine a device that has a 50% chance of killing you based on a quantum event. You decide to undergo this experiment repeatedly. According to many worlds, every time the device is triggered, the universe splits. In some branches, you die, in others, you survive. From your perspective, you always find yourself in the branch where you survive, because consciousness cannot experience its own non-existence. Thus, you would never experience death. You would feel immortal. Physicists caution that this thought experiment does not prove that you cannot die. The vast majority of branches end with your death. Only a vanishingly small fraction continue indefinitely. There is no mechanism forcing your consciousness to follow the surviving branch. It is a thought experiment meant to illustrate the implications of many worlds, not to encourage reckless behavior. Taking it literally could lead to harm. It is important to remember that quantum interpretations do not change the practical fact that if you are harmed in our branch, you suffer. Many worlds does not provide a loophole for consequence. The appeal of quantum immortality lies in the fear of death and the hope for escape. But there is a more fruitful way to engage with the many worlds idea. Imagine that every choice you make leads to a branching of realities. In some branches, you pursue one path, in others, a different path. You will experience only one branch, but the knowledge that other branches exist in principle can remind you of the weight of your choices and also of their potential. It can inspire you to be mindful, because in this branch, this choice matters. At the same time, it can ease regret. If you did not pursue a dream in this branch, perhaps another version of you did. If you hurt someone in this branch, perhaps another version made amends. You cannot access those other branches, but imagining them can soften the edges of regret. You can view your life as one thread in a tapestry of possibilities. Each thread is unique. Each contributes to the overall pattern. No single thread captures the whole picture. This perspective invites humility and compassion. It invites you to take responsibility for your actions without being crushed by the weight of inevitability. Quantum mechanics also teaches that uncertainty is fundamental. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle tells us that certain pairs of properties, such as position and momentum, cannot both be known precisely. The more precisely you know one, the less precisely you can know the other. This is not a limitation of instruments, it is a property of reality. Uncertainty is baked into the fabric of the universe. Recognizing this can be liberating. It suggests that not everything can be predicted or controlled. There is room for spontaneity, for surprise. There is room for free will, not because we are exempt from physics, but because the physics itself allows multiple futures. At the same time, quantum mechanics is not a playground where anything goes. It is governed by strict mathematical rules. The probabilities of outcomes follow specific distributions. Interference patterns arise because of precise relationships between amplitudes. The beauty of quantum theory lies in its balance between freedom and structure. You can take this as an analogy for life. Your choices matter, but they are not unconstrained. Your desires shape your path, but within the boundaries of reality. Embrace the uncertainty not as chaos, but as openness. Entanglement is another feature of the quantum world that strains intuition. When two particles interact, their states can become linked such that the state of one cannot be described independently of the state of the other. Measure the spin of one entangled electron, and you instantly know the spin of its partner even if it is light years away. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance, but experiments have repeatedly demonstrated that entanglement is real. It does not allow information to travel faster than light. Rather, it reveals that the concept of locality, separateness, breaks down at quantum scales. Entangled particles share a single wave function. When you measure one, you update your knowledge of the whole system. On a macroscopic level, entanglement becomes fragile. Interactions with the environment cause decoherence, a process by which quantum superpositions become effectively classical mixtures. Decoherence explains why we do not see cats that are simultaneously alive and dead. The environment continuously measures macroscopic objects, destroying coherence. Yet, scientists are learning to harness entanglement. Quantum computers use qubits, quantum bits that can exist in superpositions and become entangled, allowing them to perform certain calculations much more efficiently than classical computers. These devices remain in their infancy, plagued by decoherence and error, but they demonstrate that the strange phenomena of the quantum realm are not merely curiosities. They are resources. Quantum information theory, quantum cryptography, and quantum sensing all exploit the properties of entanglement and superposition. By learning to isolate systems from their environment, by cooling them to near absolute zero and shielding them from vibrations, researchers coax delicate quantum states into lasting long enough to perform computation. The pursuit of these technologies reveals our growing mastery of the quantum world. It also highlights humility. To harness entanglement, we must acknowledge how easily it dissolves. To exploit uncertainty, we must accept limits on what can be known. This dance between control and relinquishment echoes the larger themes of our journey. As we emerge from the quantum depths, allow yourself to hold multiple truths. Reality is both wave and particle, both certain and uncertain, both singular and multiple. You are both a single consciousness in a single branch and a potential node in a vast multiverse of outcomes. Thinking in terms of many worlds does not mean there are infinite copies of you living your life in parallel. It means that the universe might encompass more possibilities than you can imagine. Some realized, some not. Whether or not this interpretation is correct, it reminds you that your perspective is limited, that reality is richer than your experience of it. It invites humility and wonder. It also underscores a recurring theme in this story, that there are layers to reality, some cyclical, some linear, some branching. In the next part, we will lift our gaze from the quantum and look outward to the stars, considering why, in a universe so vast and old, we have yet to hear from other minds. For now, let the quantum world lull you. Imagine particles as waves of probability, as ripples on a pond at night. Imagine branches of reality spreading like tree limbs in a forest, unseen but perhaps sensed. Let the uncertainty loosen your grip on control. Let it soften into curiosity. And remember that in your branch, in this moment, you are safe to breathe, to listen, and to dream. Raise your eyes now from the subatomic to the cosmic. When you gaze at the night sky, you see a scattering of stars, bright points on an inky backdrop. These stars are suns like ours, many with their own planets. The universe is estimated to be about 13.8 billion years old. Our solar system formed roughly 4.5 billion years ago. That means there have been stars and planets older than ours for billions of years. If life can arise on Earth in a few billion years, it could have arisen elsewhere long before humans existed. Some of those hypothetical civilizations would have had ample time to develop technology far beyond ours. They could, in principle, have spread across the galaxy. Yet, when we listen to the cosmic radio, we hear only static. No signals, no beacons, no obvious signs of extraterrestrial technology. This discrepancy between expectation and observation is known as the Fermi Paradox. Where is everybody? Why, in a universe so vast and so old, have we detected no evidence of alien intelligence? The question is both scientific and existential. It makes us wonder whether we are alone and what that solitude would mean. One possible answer is that life itself is exceedingly rare. Even if there are billions of planets in the habitable zones of stars, the conditions required for life might be stringent. Planets may lack stable climates, protective magnetic fields, plate tectonics, or the right chemical ingredients. Even if simple life emerges, the evolution of complex multicellular organisms might be unlikely. On Earth, single-celled organisms dominated for billions of years before multicellular life appeared. Intelligent life may be rarer still. Many species thrive without developing technology. Dinosaurs ruled the Earth for millions of years without building radios. Intelligence might be an evolutionary fluke rather than an inevitable outcome. If intelligence is rare, then the silence of the cosmos may simply reflect the fact that there are very few minds to speak to us. In this scenario, we are not hearing others because there are no others to hear. Another possibility is that there is a great filter, some barrier that most civilizations fail to pass. This filter could operate early, preventing life from arising, or later preventing intelligent life from surviving long enough to communicate. Perhaps most planets never develop stable environments. Perhaps life rarely evolves beyond microbial forms. Perhaps intelligent life is self-destructive. Civilizations might develop technology that outpaces their wisdom, leading to environmental collapse, nuclear war, or runaway artificial intelligence. They might exhaust their resources, trigger runaway climate change, or fall victim to asteroid impacts. If the great filter lies ahead of us, the silence may be a warning. It may mean that most civilizations reach a stage similar to ours and then extinguish themselves. This possibility can inspire both fear and determination. Fear because it suggests a bleak future. Determination because it invites us to become an exception. Enter the dark forest hypothesis, which imagines the universe as a forest at night. Each civilization is a hunter, moving silently among trees. If you make noise, you reveal your position. In a dark forest, survival dictates caution. If a hunter hears another, it might shoot first to eliminate a potential threat. According to this view, civilizations do not broadcast their existence because doing so invites attack. They conceal themselves, communicate only in carefully controlled ways, or remain silent altogether. Our own broadcasts, radio, television, radar, have been leaking into space for decades. If the dark forest hypothesis is correct, we have been shouting in a forest full of silent hunters. The safest strategy in such a forest is to hide. The idea plays on primal fears. Fear of the unknown, fear of predators, fear of being prey. It suggests that the quiet we observe is not due to absence, but due to deliberate silence. Some science fiction explores this scenario with chilling clarity. It resonates with our survival instincts. It questions whether we should send signals into the cosmos or remain quietly listening. Critics argue that the dark forest hypothesis is unlikely for several reasons. On Earth, cultures vary widely. Some are aggressive, others are cooperative. There is no reason to assume that all extraterrestrial civilizations would adopt the same defensive posture. The energy required to destroy another civilization across interstellar distances is enormous. The motivations for doing so are unclear. Space is vast and resources abundant. Conflict over territory may be rare. Furthermore, if there are many civilizations, it is improbable that all of them would independently arrive at the same conclusion: to hide and kill. Some might be curious, like us. Some might be altruistic. Some might simply not care. Nonetheless, the dark forest hypothesis serves as a cautionary tale. It reminds us that broadcasting into the unknown is not without risk. It encourages us to consider the ethics and safety of contact. It also invites reflection on our own behavior. If we fear others, might others fear us? If we choose silence, what kind of universe are we creating? Beyond the dark forest, other explanations abound. Perhaps advanced civilizations lose interest in broadcasting. The window during which a civilization emits radio waves might be brief, a century or two, after which it switches to more efficient, targeted communication methods or immerses itself in virtual realities. Perhaps we are listening at the wrong frequencies. Perhaps alien signals are too subtle for our instruments or encoded in ways we cannot decode. Perhaps they are using technologies we cannot conceive. There is also the zoo hypothesis. Maybe advanced civilizations are aware of us but avoid contact, allowing us to develop without interference. This idea resembles the prime directive in science fiction, a rule against influencing less advanced societies. Alternatively, we may simply be impatient. We have been searching seriously for extraterrestrial signals for a few decades. The galaxy is 100,000 light-years across. Signals take time to travel. Civilizations may have risen and fallen millions of years ago, broadcasting in a time before we existed. Their signals may have passed Earth during the era of dinosaurs. Others may rise long after we are gone. The silence we hear may be a matter of timing. It is also possible that life elsewhere looks nothing like us. We search for life in the forms we know: carbon-based, water-using, oxygen-breathing. We listen for radio transmissions because that is the technology we developed first. But life might arise in ammonia seas under frozen crusts, breathe methane and communicate with chemistry. Intelligent beings might dwell beneath the ice of distant moons, never seeing the stars, never building transmitters, content in their subterranean oceans. Life might bloom in the clouds of gas giants, with bodies like balloons drifting in currents, exchanging information through electrical pulses. Civilizations might use neutrinos or gravitational waves to communicate, signals that pass through matter almost undisturbed and are difficult for our instruments to detect. They might encode messages in genetic material, sending spores across space that carry instructions embedded in DNA. They might be so advanced that their activities are indistinguishable from natural phenomena. They might be so primitive that we would overlook them because they lack technology. Even closer to home, life might exist on our own planet, in forms we have not yet recognized, deep under crusts or inside rocks. The point is that our expectations shape our search. The universe could be teeming with life we simply do not recognize. Our instruments, our definitions, and our patience limit us. When we stare into the dark and hear nothing, it may not be because no one is there. It may be because we are deaf to their voices. How do you feel about sending messages to potential extraterrestrial civilizations? Do you lean towards caution, fearing the dark forest, or towards curiosity, wanting to connect? Would you rather live in a universe filled with silent watchers, each guarding their own fire, or in a universe where we are alone in the dark? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective adds depth to this discussion. Each voice is a beacon in the dark forest of human thought. There is no right answer. Some may crave contact with other minds, dreaming of exchanging ideas with beings under alien skies. Others may fear the unknown, preferring to gaze at stars and wonder. This diversity of opinion reflects the diversity of human experience. It is a microcosm of the potential diversity of the universe. Regardless of the truth behind the Fermi Paradox, the silence of the universe teaches us humility. We are small, fragile, and isolated on a planet glowing faintly in a vast dark. Whether we are alone or not, we have to care for our world. Contact matters little if we do not survive to experience it. The effort we put into listening to the cosmos can inspire us to listen to each other. The patience required to wait for a signal can teach us patience in other areas. The imagination we use to conceive of alien minds can help us empathize with the minds around us. The silence also invites gratitude. The fact that you are alive, able to look up and wonder, is miraculous. In the cosmic timeline, human civilization is a flicker. We've only just begun to explore. There is time to continue listening, to send careful whispers, to learn more. The mystery need not be solved quickly. It can be savored. In the next part, we will turn our gaze from the stars to ourselves. We will explore the cycles of our own lives, the habits and patterns that repeat, the ways we can break or embrace them. As we do, carry with you the quiet of the universe. Let it remind you that emptiness can be full of possibility, that silence can be a canvas, and that you have a role in shaping the echo you leave behind. Life often feels like a series of circles. We go to work or school each morning, return each evening, and repeat. We celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays. We watch seasons cycle from spring to summer to autumn to winter and back again. We go through phases of growth and decay. We fall in love, fall out of love, heal, and risk again. We make resolutions at the start of each year and revisit the same hopes the next. We revisit the same places, tell the same stories, and sing the same songs. These recurrences can feel comforting or suffocating. Comfort arises because they offer structure and predictability. Suffocation arises when we feel trapped, repeating mistakes or enduring pain that returns. The cyclical nature of life is not only cultural, it is biological. Our hearts beat in rhythmic pulses. Our breath flows in and out. Sleep cycles run roughly 24 hours. Women's bodies follow menstrual cycles. Cells divide in phases. Our very perception of time is tied to cycles of daylight and darkness. Recognizing these rhythms can help us align our actions. Fighting them can exhaust us. Embracing them can bring peace. On a deeper level, your body is a process of continuous renewal. The cells lining your stomach are replaced every few days. Your skin renews itself over weeks. The atoms in your bones may be replaced over a decade. You are literally not the same matter you were years ago. Yet you feel continuous. This continuity is the pattern of relationships among your parts, not the parts themselves. This pattern persists through cycles of replacement. Understanding this can shift how you view change. You are not defined by static substance, but by dynamic relationships. This view can apply to your identity as well. You might see yourself as someone who procrastinates, or as someone who is shy, or as someone who always says yes. These are patterns, not essences. They can change. If you recognize a pattern, you can alter it. If you see a cycle, you can intervene. You are both subject to cycles and able to shape them. Awareness is the first step toward change. The mind, like the body, tends to loop. Thoughts repeat. Worries spin. You replay conversations that have already ended, rehearsing what you should have said. You anticipate future events, often imagining worst-case scenarios. You ruminate on mistakes, reliving them. These mental loops can be exhausting. They can prevent you from experiencing the present. Yet, they can also be harnessed. Reflection can lead to learning. Rehearsal can prepare you. Pattern recognition can inspire creativity. The difference between helpful and harmful loops is in how you engage with them. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation and deep breathing, can help you observe your thoughts without getting caught up in them. Therapy can help you identify cognitive distortions and reshape thought patterns. Talking to friends can provide perspective. Writing can help you externalize and process. You can choose to shuffle the deck of your thoughts, to bring different memories to the surface, to remind yourself of times when you were brave, kind, or resilient. In doing so, you are not erasing negative experiences, but placing them within a larger narrative where they do not dominate. Some cycles span generations. Families pass down beliefs, habits, traumas, and joys. A parent's fear of scarcity can become a child's compulsion to hoard. A grandparent's unprocessed grief can echo in a grandchild's anxiety. Cultural patterns, like roles assigned to genders, expectations of success, ideas about love, can persist for centuries. These patterns can provide stability and identity, but they can also perpetuate harm. Recognizing generational cycles requires honesty and compassion. It involves seeing how your grandparents' lives, shaped by wars or famine or migration, influenced your parents' choices, which in turn influence yours. It involves acknowledging that you carry stories in your body that are not only yours. Breaking harmful cycles is an act of courage and healing. It might mean seeking therapy to process inherited trauma, educating yourself about histories you were never taught, or choosing to parent differently than you were parented. It might mean questioning cultural norms that no longer serve. At the same time, you can choose to continue and strengthen positive cycles: kindness, resilience, creativity, activism. You can become a bridge between what was and what can be. In doing so, you extend the concept of recurrence beyond physics into ethics. You recognize that cycles can be tools for liberation or chains of oppression. Your actions determine which. Creativity follows its own rhythms. Artists speak of muses arriving unpredictably. Writers experience blocks that feel like winter and bursts of productivity that feel like spring. Musicians practice scales for months before composing a song in an afternoon. Farmers let fields lie fallow so that soil can recover. Minds also need fallow time. In a culture that glorifies constant output, it can be hard to honor these cycles. You might feel lazy when your mind is quiet, guilty when ideas do not come. But just as night nourishes day, rest nourishes creativity. Inspiration often arises after periods of incubation when ideas have time to compost. Recognizing this can help you treat your creative life with gentleness. You can plan for cycles, allowing space for dormancy and for bloom. You can trust that a quiet period does not mean that creativity is gone forever. It is simply gathering strength beneath the surface. When the time comes, you will feel the stirring. You can greet it without fear of losing it because you understand that cycles return. Societies, too, move in cycles. Movements for justice surge forward, then face backlash. Rights are gained, then threatened. Values shift, then swing back. History does not repeat exactly, but it rhymes. Understanding these patterns can prevent despair. When progress slows or reverses, you can remember that change is not linear. You can look to past cycles for lessons on perseverance. You can see that moments of regression often galvanize new efforts. You can participate in the cycles of civic life: voting, protesting, teaching, creating art that challenges norms, knowing that each action is part of a larger wave. At the same time, recognizing cycles can prevent complacency. Just because progress has been made does not mean it will remain. Each generation must tend the garden of rights and freedoms. Each must decide which cycles to nurture and which to disrupt. In this way, recurrence is not a curse, but a call to vigilance and compassion. It reminds you that your actions matter not only for yourself, but for those who come after. The cycles you break or reinforce shape the world they inherit. Rituals are cycles that we create intentionally. They can be as simple as making tea in the morning, lighting a candle at dusk, or reading a book before bed. They can be communal, like gathering for a meal on certain days, or personal, like journaling at the end of each week. Rituals provide anchors. They mark time. They signal transitions. They can transform ordinary acts into meaningful ones. In a world where entropy tends to increase, rituals are moments of chosen order. They can ground you during chaos. They can remind you of what matters. They can help you process change. For example, many cultures have mourning rituals to honor the dead and support the living. These rituals allow grief to be expressed and contained. Celebratory rituals mark achievements and transitions like graduations and weddings. Creating your own rituals can bring you closer to yourself. It can be as simple as pausing at noon to stretch, or as elaborate as an annual pilgrimage to a place that calms you. Each cycle you choose intentionally becomes a rhythm that sustains you. Regret is a loop with sharp edges. It is the mind replaying a moment, wishing to change it. It can trap you in the past. To escape the loop, you have to accept that the past cannot be altered. You can learn from it, apologize, make amends, or resolve to act differently, but you cannot change what has been done. Acceptance is not resignation, it is recognition. Forgiveness of others and yourself is the key that unlocks the loop. It does not erase consequences, but it allows you to move forward. In a universe where time may circle back, the way you live matters. If you might live this life again, would you want to spend it mired in regret? Or would you prefer to practice self-compassion, to release the grip of past mistakes, to allow yourself to try again? Breaking a cycle of regret requires courage. It may feel easier to stay angry with yourself, but it is kinder to let go. In letting go, you create space for new patterns to arise. What patterns do you notice in your own life? Which ones serve you? Which ones harm you? If you were to live this life again, what would you keep? What would you change? Share these reflections in the comments. They may resonate with others walking similar paths. Each comment is another configuration, another arrangement of words that may, in some distant loop, be read again. You might inspire someone to recognize a harmful pattern or to celebrate a joyful one. You might find comfort in knowing that others share your struggles. Do not feel pressured to reveal anything you are not ready to share. Even privately considering these questions can shift your perspective. You may discover that some cycles you thought were inevitable are, in fact, choices you can reframe. Life's cycles are not inherently good or bad. They are simply patterns. Some patterns sustain life, others drain it. Some bring joy, others bring sorrow. Some feel imposed, others feel chosen. Awareness is what allows you to discern which is which. Agency is what allows you to adjust. You cannot stop the turning of the seasons, but you can plant seeds at the right time. You cannot control every thought that arises, but you can choose which to pursue. You cannot avoid every regret, but you can decide how long to dwell. In embracing cycles, you embrace the fact that change is constant, that nothing is fixed. This can be freeing. It means that if you are in a difficult phase, it will pass. It means that if you are in a joyful phase, it is precious. In the final part of our story, we will weave together the threads we have explored. We will return to the quiet, to the vastness, to the idea of sleep as a small death and a rebirth. For now, rest in the knowledge that your life is a tapestry woven from cycles of your own making and cycles beyond your control. You can both participate in and shape the pattern. We have wandered far in this narrative. We began by trying to imagine nothing and confronting the impossibility of conceiving our own absence. We saw how time might be a circle rather than a line, how ancient myths and modern mathematics hint at recurrence. We descended into the microcosm and discovered that atoms are mostly empty space, born from the furnaces of stars and recycled through countless forms. We learned that energy and matter are conserved, that we are temporary arrangements of ancient particles. We explored probability and the Poincaré recurrence theorem, considering that in infinite time, even the most unlikely events become certain. We contemplated entropy, the tendency of systems to increase in disorder, and we imagined the heat death of the universe, a long exhalation into silence. We dove into quantum mechanics, where particles exist in superpositions and realities may branch. We visited the dark forest and other explanations for the Fermi Paradox, pondering whether we are alone or surrounded by silent watchers. We examined our own cycles, our patterns of thought and behavior, our rituals and regrets. Throughout, we have returned to the theme of loops, of endings that are beginnings, of repetitions that are both prison and sanctuary. These ideas are not meant to overwhelm, but to expand your sense of belonging. You are part of something vast and intricate. Your life is both small and significant, a thread in a tapestry that extends beyond your vision. Now it is time to rest. The universe is quiet, too quiet, but silence is not empty. It is a canvas on which galaxies spin, stars are born and die, planets circle suns, and life emerges and fades. It is filled with atoms dancing, splitting, fusing, and flowing through uncountable cycles. It holds minds like yours, minds that ask questions and find solace in possible answers. In this silence, your own quiet matters. When you close your eyes, you are not abandoning the world. You are joining it in its rhythm. Sleep is a small heat death. Your conscious processes wind down. Your brain waves slow. Your body cools. You enter a low entropy state where memories consolidate and cells repair. In the morning, energy flows again. You wake renewed. Sleep is a nightly rehearsal of death and rebirth. It is a cycle within cycles. Treat it with reverence. Let yourself sink into it. Let your waking thoughts dissolve like stars at dawn. Let the dark be a friend. If you have found comfort in this journey, consider supporting the storyteller. Subscribe to our channel so that you can join us for future explorations. Leave a like if these words soothe you. Share this video with someone who might need peace. Leave a comment if you have questions, dreams, or reflections. Your presence here is part of the story. Your engagement keeps the fire burning in this small clearing of the dark forest. There is no obligation. It is enough that you listened, that you allowed these ideas into your mind. If you choose to support, thank you. If you choose to simply rest, thank you. Both choices are honorable. Even if you never speak of this journey, it will continue to reverberate inside you. Ideas are like seeds. Once planted, they sprout in unexpected places. You might find yourself gazing at the moon and remembering the cycles of time. You might feel a moment of frustration and recall that your atoms are ancient travelers. You might encounter an improbable coincidence and smile, thinking of monkeys at typewriters. These associations are subtle rituals. They knit your inner world to the outer cosmos. They remind you that learning is not a one-time event, but an ongoing unfolding. When you share what you have learned, you create more loops. Words travel from mind to mind, altering trajectories, inspiring questions. Your voice becomes part of a chain of transmissions stretching across time. Whether you speak aloud or simply carry these thoughts quietly, you are participating in the continuation of the story. There is power in silence too. Not all questions demand immediate answers. You can let mystery rest unanswered like a smooth stone in your pocket. You can walk with the weight of it, feeling its shape, not needing to pry it open. The universe is vast. Your understanding will always be incomplete. This is not a deficiency, but a gift. It leaves room for wonder. It allows humility. It gives you permission to stop striving for certainty and instead marvel at complexity. Silence can be a teacher. In the quiet, after a conversation, new insights emerge. In the stillness, after a sunset, gratitude deepens. In the pause between your heartbeats, life renews. When you choose to sit with silence, to listen to the spaces between words, you tune yourself to a deeper rhythm. You join the universe in its quiet music. Let the cosmos cradle you. Feel the weight of your body on the bed or chair, the way gravity holds you to Earth, just as it holds planets in their orbits. Sense the rhythm of your breath. Notice how each exhale is a letting go. Each inhale is a receiving. Imagine that with each breath you are in dialogue with the world, exchanging atoms that have traveled through lungs and leaves and oceans. Imagine that your heartbeat is in conversation with the pulses of stars, vast, slow throbs of nuclear fire in distant galaxies. Imagine that your thoughts are ripples in a quantum field, delicate and fleeting. Each moment is a thread in the loop. Each day is a circle within circles. When you feel lost, you can return to these rhythms. You can find your place not by seeking fixed coordinates, but by feeling the flow. You can trust that the loop will carry you. You can trust that even when you drift, you remain within the embrace of something immense and kind. We will meet again in this space in another loop of time. Until then, may the quiet be your companion. Picture yourself floating on a dark river that winds through the universe. Above you, the Milky Way arches like a luminous bridge. Below you, the water is dotted with stars that have fallen and settled like lanterns. The current moves slowly, carrying you past nebulae that glow like colored clouds, past galaxies that spin like pinwheels, past clusters where suns huddle together for warmth. The river is time, and you are not paddling. You are being carried. You can watch the scenery, reflect, dream. Occasionally, you pass other travelers. Some wave, some sleep, some sing songs you cannot hear. The river flows on. It loops back on itself, perhaps, or perhaps it goes on forever. You do not need to know. You can simply lie back and feel the coolness of the water, the pull of the current. Your destination is part of the journey. Each bend is both new and familiar. Each ripple echoes ripples that came before. This river holds all stories, including yours. When you surrender to it, you join a lineage of travelers stretching backward and forward in time. When you look for patterns, you may notice that loops and cycles appear everywhere, from the spirals of shells and hurricanes to the orbits of planets and electrons, from the spiraling arms of galaxies to the double helix of DNA. Fractals repeat motifs at different scales. Music repeats themes with variation. Poems use refrains. Conversations circle back. These repetitions are not monotonous. They are creative. They allow themes to develop, harmonies to layer, meanings to deepen. You are part of these fractal patterns. Your life echoes lives lived before. Your experiences resonate with experiences across time and space. Seeing yourself as part of a pattern can reduce loneliness. It can also inspire you to contribute something unique. A pattern is not a prison. It is a framework in which improvisation flourishes. Just as a jazz musician plays within a chord progression, You live within cycles but create your own melody. Your actions may be small on a cosmic scale, but they have consequence. They ripple outward. They alter the pattern in subtle ways. The kindness you show a stranger, the art you create, the child you raise, the tree you plant. These choices become part of the loop. They may echo in ways you will never know. Trust that your melody matters. Finally, know that acceptance is not the same as passivity. Accepting that you cannot control the stars does not mean you cannot kindle a fire in your hearth. Accepting that cycles exist does not mean you cannot steer within them. You can choose to meet the universe with curiosity rather than fear, compassion rather than indifference. You can decide that even if your life will repeat, you will live it with as much care as if it were singular. You can practice gratitude for the atoms that compose you, for the energy that sustains you, for the chance to be conscious at all. You can practice letting go of what you cannot change and focusing on what you can. When you lie down to sleep, you are not giving up. You are honoring a cycle that keeps you healthy. When you wake, you can decide anew how to engage. Storytellers will continue to spin tales of nothingness and stars, of probability and heat, of quantum cats and silent forests. You will continue to listen, perhaps in this branch, perhaps in another. Our voices will cross in a dark forest, in a quiet universe, in a comment thread. Together we will weave loops that make meaning. Together we will keep the fire burning. Before we imagine the infinite loop once more, linger a little longer in the quiet. Listen for sounds you normally overlook, the hum of distant traffic, the faint buzz of electricity, the soft rustle of fabric as you breathe. Each sound is a wave traveling through air, a reminder that even silence is woven from subtle vibrations. There is comfort in attending to these small rhythms. They anchor you here. They remind you that this moment, this branch of reality, is unique. In another branch, perhaps, a dog is barking or rain is tapping against the window. In yet another, you are not listening to this story at all. The multiverse might be teeming with possibilities, but this one is yours. Honor it by listening deeply. You might also take a moment to thank yourself for seeking knowledge and comfort. Not everyone has the courage to confront the vastness of time, the inevitability of decay, or the silence of the cosmos. Yet here you are, willing to let your mind wander through forests of dark trees and across deserts of stars. Acknowledge that curiosity is a form of love. It is love for truth, love for beauty, love for life. When you learn, you expand the universe of what is possible within you. You create new loops of understanding. You add your own quiet voice to the chorus of those who have wandered before you. You become part of a lineage of seekers. That lineage stretches back to ancient storytellers who sat around fires and talked about the lights in the sky. It includes scholars who built telescopes and particle accelerators. It includes artists who painted nebulae and sang of eternity. You are part of this tradition simply by caring. And there is one more loop to consider, the loop between giving and receiving. When you receive a story, a teaching, a kindness, it enters your life and changes you. When you give a story, a teaching, a kindness, you change someone else. These acts do not cancel each other, they amplify. In the comments you leave, in the conversations you have, in the actions you take after listening, you send ripples into the world. those ripples combine with others to create waves? You may never know who you touch. That is part of the beauty. The loops of influence are vast and unpredictable. They connect strangers across continents and centuries. By sharing your reflections, your questions, your gratitude, you feed a cycle that nourishes others. In doing so, you honor the quiet universe by filling it with thoughtful echoes. Now, with gratitude in your heart and curiosity in your breath, prepare to sail once more around the spiral of this tale. The journey through the dark forest of ideas continues, but the pace is gentle. As you drift, remember that each loop is an opportunity to deepen. Each return brings new insight. The universe is quiet, but within that quiet there are songs composed of atoms and memories, of voids and poems. There are songs inside you too. When the story resumes, let those inner songs harmonize with the one you hear. Let them carry you toward rest. Before you drift off, imagine the infinite loop again. Imagine yourself as a tiny thread in a massive tapestry. You cannot see the whole pattern, but you can feel the tension and release as it is woven. Imagine the atoms in your body glowing like embers. Imagine them drifting apart, swirling through space, being pulled into stars, ejected into supernovae, drifting into clouds, forming new planets, new life. Imagine time as rings of ripples on water, overlapping, interfering, creating patterns of light and dark. Imagine the dark forest and the silent watchers. Imagine the many worlds where countless versions of you are also drifting off to sleep at this moment, perhaps hearing different stories, perhaps none. Imagine that in some far future, in an almost identical moment, you will hear these words again. Let these images wash over you. Let them blur the boundary between you and the cosmos. Let them remind you that you are never truly alone. You are part of cycles so large that they encompass everything. You are dust and spirit, void and light, a question and an answer. And now let the fire dim. Let the night deepen. Let the quiet of the universe seep into you. May the story you carry into your sleep be gentle. May the cycles you wake into be kind. Good night, traveler. Rest in the knowledge that you are part of something vast, something that loops and flows beyond comprehension. The universe is quiet, too quiet. But your heartbeat is a drum, your breath is a breeze, and together they make a song. Sleep, and let that song carry you into the infinite loop.